everybody. So in this video, we're going to be talking about introduction paragraphs. So we went over meal paragraphs a couple weeks ago, I think, within that. So how to set up your main body paragraphs. So this one's really focused on the introduction paragraph. And this is for if you are writing any kind of essay. So a summary essay, are we writing an argument essay, an opinion piece, informative, whatever it is, we're going to set up our intros basically the same way. Okay. So again, just like our organization or meal example, how we set that up, I've color coded each section that you're going to put within that paragraph. The first one is your hook, and that could be like 1 to 2 sentences. Now, most of you are used to writing questions, and questions can be good hooks. There is potential for a good hook to be a question, but it's rare. Most of the time when a person drops a hook as their, or drops a question as their hook, you kind of just leave the question and then you never actually answer it. You just kind of leave it there and then nothing else has anything to do with it. So it's pointless, it's distracting, it doesn't actually gain attention. If anything, it kind of frustrates the reader because why in the world did I just have to read that question if you're not even going to go into it? So if you're going to ask a question, you have to answer it going into it. But the other portion of my questions and why I would like you to avoid them is because they're super overdone. So they've become cliche that people don't really, it's like, oh, another question hook. Oh, how inventive. So it's become a cliche form of writing that almost comes off elementary-ish when you write them in there. So we want to avoid them. So some other ways we can avoid them is giving shocking statistics. So if 99% of people have working hearts. Okay, we all know that. But you're going to give some sort of shocking statistics. That's going to go, your reader's going to make them go, I had no idea. And then we go into later with that. You can also develop narratives. So if I'm doing an argumentative essay about why state testing should be canceled, we should never give state tests to students ever again, then I might develop a couple sentences narrative about how a student goes about their morning before a state test. You wake up and your stomach is already nauseous from all of the terror and anxiety that this test has because you might not graduate if you don't pass. And then you sit down to the test and your Chromebook isn't charged. No. So I build up a narrative about my topic before I actually go into the story or before I go into my argument or my the rest of my intro within that piece. We can also do sort of, how do I phrase this? So a way to anger your reader when it comes into. So be really controversial within the statement, especially if it's over a topic that lends itself to really two finite sides and you're going to get somebody involved in it. So if I start out my entire paper that schools are failing our students, that's going to anger a lot of people when I say that. But when I go into it that it's not truly the schools, instead it's state tests that are what failing our students, I lean back. So if you're going to do sort of a controversial in-your-face, anger your reader hook, you got to pull it back right afterwards. Because if you take your entire paper to anger your reader, they're never going to listen to you, right? We don't want to anger them so much that they never finish the paper or they never agree with us. We just want to get their attention, okay? So there are a lot of other ways we can develop hooks than just questions within there. Oh, and then a final one, of course, is a quote. Okay. Now, especially with research essays, do not use quotes that you're going to use elsewhere in your paper. If you have already planned to use a quote to support a main idea, don't use it in your intro. A great kind of quote to use there would be something that, again, introduces the topic, gains some interest in it. It might be shocking. It might be a statistic that somebody might not have known before. And then you go and use that to develop what the topic is in the first place. Okay. If you're going to use a quote as your hook, you have to cite it. You then have to have a works cited bibliography. So don't just think you can Google a quote and use it, because Google is not a citation. Google's a search engine. You also, if you're just Googling quotes, you're not putting enough thought into your hook. Your hook starts out the whole piece. You should put a lot of thought into the hook. Just as much as you think about your thesis, you should be thinking about your hook when it comes to it. So after we give the hook, this green portion and the pink portion is usually where I see intros falling flat and not having enough of this. So after you give the hook, you have to explain the hook. So why in the world or how in the world does it introduce the topic? Why does it matter that schools are failing our students? Why does it matter that 90% of people have TikTok downloaded? Okay, if that's your shocking fact. You have to give that explanation and flow into your pink, because your pink section of your intro is probably more important than your thesis, because your thesis comes right out and says your topic, but your pink section introduces why the topic is even important. Why do we care about this main idea you're going to give? So if I'm doing an argument about state testing and why it needs to end, then I need to develop that state testing has been a very controversial subject since its invention, and even back into OGTs and proficiency tests, which none of you are going to remember. But those are the things that I had to take when I was in high school and middle school. So they've been controversial for so long, and have they ever actually improved student learning or student achievement within there? And so I developed the topic. I explained, why does this hook? Why is the topic important? Why is it relevant? And why should the audience care? Why should the reader take the time to read this essay in the first place? Okay. And then once you've introduced the topic, then you go into your yellow and now can explain, here's the thesis, here's the main idea. Okay. For a summary essay, you have to develop, what is the topic of the article? What is the importance of it? Why does the article matter? Why should somebody want to read a summary of this article? Why should they care about the topic of it? And then your thesis for a summary essay is going to be, well, what is the main idea of the essay and why does it matter? Should people read it? Should they take it to heart? So what is the main idea that you're trying to get across within that summary that you're writing for the rest of the essay? As a note in my orange here, do not, if you're going to use a quote for your hook, don't have another quote within the introduction. Because if you're just listing off quotes, that's not writing a paragraph. That's an annotated bibliography. That's an outline. That's not a developed paragraph within there. So you have to develop what the hook or what that quote is doing, not just list out a bunch of quotes and pieces like that. So only one quote per introduction. Okay. And then down here, I just give you an example of an introduction so you can see how this student decided to outline introducing their topic, their thesis, and all of those pieces within there. Okay. So this is just an example that you can roll with. If you like this idea of highlighting to organize your paragraphs, absolutely do it for your outlines or rough drafts. That way it also helps me see where I need to add feedback for you. It helps you to see, ooh, I really only have a little bit of developing my topic. Maybe I need to add some more into here, or my thesis is really slim. What do I need to do with it? So use this to help you organize your thoughts as well when it comes to. Just make sure when you submit final drafts, you've taken all of this out and you make it look formal. Okay. So if you have any questions on introduction paragraphs, let me know. But have a wonderful day.